That's a perfect moment for her to enter because Renee Cox's work really inspired me. It absolutely did. It showed me proof of what I imagined could be. That you could render a Black woman's body in its pure nakedness and have it be powerful, not exploitative, all from a woman's gaze, and be something to celebrate, essentially. So that's the most, I think the most immediate inspiration really came from her work. I could take it back, you know, think about people like Josephine Baker, but really that contemporary moment for me was crystallized when I went to her studio and saw her work and was blown away.
You bring up Josephine Baker because in one scene you have at the grandmother's house, and this is what I mean in terms of your kind of comparison between the present and the past, that you have these women who are having this conversation about what it means to represent Black women visually, but then you have Josephine Baker whose work on stage did something else for Black women. And so I do think it's a kind of layering that you do throughout the film that's very important in terms of a different kind of aesthetic in terms of presenting that. So
yeah, I mean, a couple things. You know, there were conversations about production design and art design. I mean, we really gathered and said, all right, what needs to be in the frame, right? What can we do so that we're creating that texture and the layering and sort of sending not subliminal messages, but really trying to speak to our audience on every level possible. That was something that wasn't demarcated like typical film sets, where the art, you know, the production designer doesn't really have deep conversations with, say, the cinematographer. But we were doing all that. This was always seen as a collaboration. And I just want to say about Josephine Baker, she had a career in film, did you know?
Yes.
Yeah, so there was that too, that sort of sense that we have antecedents. You know, they're everywhere. Yeah.
Renee, can I ask you, since you've joined us now, I want to ask.
Hello, everybody. I had to get my phone.
I just want to ask if you all were aware where you were sitting in the back last night, that when, Renee, when you came on and you saw your young self, you laughed. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this question and make it relevant to both of you in terms of thinking about this. I'm curious about, because to your point, Josephine exists in film, but it's in a very particular way. And so when we see this sauna scene, this bath scene, where Renee is like very comfortable in her body. And so I want to talk about, in terms of how you come to do that scene, is it because I think some of the issues that Celia faces, whether or not actresses, Black women actresses, feel that comfortable, and there's a way that you present your body on screen that made me think of dancers, that made me think of fluid movement. Like, there's a way in which you're holding your body that I wanted to figure out how you're able to convey that comfortableness on screen, or if that's
No effort.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like I had to really think about it too much. And probably, okay, I mean, if I have to cite where probably that comfort comes from, it comes from spending 1 month in a nudist camp in Corsica. So after you do that, it's like, it's not really a big deal at all.
So is that the same in terms of like your own artwork too? Because there's a number.
Yeah, no, I spent like when I first. It's actually funny because I met my husband in university. He's French. First summer we were together. We went back to France and we went on holiday with his parents, and they're naturalists, nudists. So we went to this nudist camp in Corsica, and this is happening like in college.
Okay.
So it's been like that for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, there's definitely in the film this way of naturalizing nudity so that it doesn't have to be, to your point, tied to always linked to sexuality. So that's,
I mean, even my own work, I mean, I don't think my nudity is very, titillating.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I always say, like, your mama's Last Supper. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to jerk off to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Never know, Renee.
I mean, there's always people have, whatever things fetishes they may have. But I'm just saying, in general, it's not that kind of photograph.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you bring up Your Mama's Last Supper because it's basically this reinterpretation of the Last Supper, right? And so where you're taking this religious iconography and doing something different with it. And I think there's something within both your works where there's this reinterpretation of the body through a different spiritual system. Am I reading that wrong, or can you say more about if that figures into how you naturalize nudity?
Well, it's through a different lens,
Okay.
right? Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's it more so than anything. I'm just seeing it through a really natural point of view.
Okay.
I feel the other points of view are, the hypersexualized ones are very contrived and come out of a sort of fantasy, assumptions, patriarchy, you know, yeah.
So.
You know, I was just